Boo. Did it scare you? Good morning. That's a surprise that's coming up in a couple of videos down the road that'll be coming out. I wanted to talk today about, a lot of you have asked me to do it. I used to do periodic economic updates when materials are going up and down when I was building full-time garages, but now in my semi-retirement, not doing that. So I hadn't really stayed up with prices other than to know that they hurt a lot. So I'm going to do an economic update of materials. That'll be in the first part of this video. The second part will be where I'm at this point in life and wondering how it relates to a lot of you. I know a lot of you folks are older. I'm trying to think of a sensitive way to say that. A lot of you are younger. A lot of you are my age. So anyway, I want to just talk about that. And should be an interesting little video. So we'll go inside and get at it. And the reason we're going inside to get at it is because it's currently raining. And I just want to get in out of the weather. I've got the heat turned on. I've actually been really excited about doing this because there's a lot of interesting graphs. I'll put them on a whiteboard over here, and we can see what's going on and get a feel for where we're at. So I guess right now to physically see where we're at, we're in front of my HO model railroad. It's Ken's, so a little plug for my other channel, Ken's HO model railroading. I'm building a new layout here, but this is like the cleanest place in the shop. So I wanted to have the whiteboard here so I can draw some things and get an idea of where things are at. So first of all, I wanted to talk about garages that I don't build anymore. I did that for over 30 years, 35 years. And so I'm not doing that anymore. But this is what prompted me to want to do this video. I was sitting in the house. It was 8 o'clock at night talking to Sandy. And it was drizzling, raining, dark. And it was only like 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. And I just had like this flashback of how many times this time of year, even into November, where I would be scheduled to pour a concrete slab for a garage. And the weather was sketchy, and concrete sets up slower when it's cold. So you need to add accelerators to speed it up and get it to set. So I don't know how many nights I was out there in the dark, or just before dark, we had poured the concrete in the morning, and it wasn't setting up because it was so cold, like 40-ish, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'd have to build a tent, and we'd have to bring in a heater and get that all set. And then midnight, 1 o'clock, we're out there power troweling with a tent, with the fumes. It was just glorious. At the time, I really enjoyed doing it, but now it's like, I am just so thankful that I'm not out there tonight getting ready to power trowel concrete with a tent while it's raining, and just how hard that was now looking back. And I was just very thankful that I'm not doing that anymore. My body was telling me, don't do it anymore. So referring back to, say, 2020, I think that's like the first time I did an economic update on garages. And back then in 2020, a 24 by 24 two-car ranch garage was around just under $16,000. And then by the end last year, about this time, so that's like 4 years, it was $26,900 for that same one. Had gone up $10,000 in 4 years. So I fought like crazy to keep those prices down. That's why I did the economic updates. Right here, where I'm standing, and a lot of you saw the videos, lined from the back of the shop to the front, and on that side had plywood. I couldn't reach the top. I had stocked plywood because I bought it. I got an inkling that prices were going up, so I bought it and stockpiled it. So I had plywood that was 5 years ago now, somewhere in there, 2020, however many years that would be, was like $18 a sheet for 5/8 CDX, and then it skyrocketed up to like $85 a sheet. So I was sitting on a shop full of plywood that had quadrupled in value. I felt a lot of folks said you ought to just turn around and sell it and make a killing, like in the stock market. But I already had contracts for those jobs, so I didn't want to sell it because I needed it. It was really sold material. I was just buying it ahead so that I wouldn't take a bath at the end, because I would do contracts for a fixed price, and I wanted to honor that. So that's what I did. So let's get to, I'm going to draw a chart. I went back 10 years. Hopefully this is not boring, because it's really interesting to me where prices have gone in the past 10 years. So I'm going to draw, put 10 years, 2014 through 2024. I guess that's 11 years theoretically. But I'll draw that out, and I'll draw in different colors, different products. So the first thing I'll do is I'll set up the numbers here. So I've written the years up here. I'm just going to draw a line. Ooh, dog here. Draw a line down through all of these so you can get a starting point. This is not to scale. There's a start. Okay, I'm trying to put, I'm going to start with lumber because that's what I dealt with the most. I'm not putting numbers because different products, clothing, gas, they're just different numbers, so it wouldn't match up. But just I'm going to draw the idea of the chart, the past 10 years, for all of those. I took a picture, a snapshot of like NASDAQ and other things like that, of some of their charts, just to get a good overview of where they're at. So we'll say in 2014, this is where lumber was. 2015, it dropped. 2016 started going up. 2017 and 18, they were moderately up. But then towards the end of 2018, it bottomed. It went way down. And then so that's 2019. 2020, it went up a little bit. Still wasn't down at the lowest point of 2015, but that was kind of gradual. Big drop. Then went there. And then 2021, whoa, like that. And then for maybe in the early spring or late spring of 21, took a dip. And then in 22, reached its highest point. That's when I was paying, or would have paid, $82 a sheet for plywood. Lumber, 2x4 eighths. Oh, what was the max on that? It was, I think it was $8 or $9 there when I compared to when I actually started keeping track of it. Back here, it was like they were $2 for a 2x4 8. So $2 to $10. So then 22 to 23 it dropped, and then 23 to 24 is just kind of like that. So that's kind of I use brown because wood's brown. That's lumber. Oh, maybe I'll write lumber right there. Next, is plywood. Let's talk about that. And again, the dollar amounts are not the same. It's kind of just the flow of where everything went. So in 2014, at this point, and it proceeded to drop. So that wasn't exactly the same as lumber. But then, let's see, it was pretty steady, increasing to 18 and a half, year 18 and a half. Let's write that down, plywood. In 2020, it dropped. None of these are exact, but in 2020 it dropped. 21, out of sight. That was the $85 a sheet point. And then it took a dip in mid 21, back up. It didn't peak like lumber did as much. And it came back down in 23, and it just kind of wiggled, it dropped a little bit through 24. So you can kind of see a pattern develop. The two followed each other pretty well. Let's talk about steel. So steel, for me, was rebar, garage doors, entry doors, steel entry doors, metal roofing, those types of things. So I used quite a bit of steel product in garages. So to pick a point to start and just how the graph looked, it would start here. 2015 it dropped, 2016 it dropped, 2017 it took a spike, and then it dipped a little and back up in 2018. 2019 it was creeping up, and then in 2020 it 20 and a half, almost yeah, so it's kind of right there. This was the low point. That's 2016. 21 and a half. It just went vroom like that. 22, a little drop. Well, sizable drop. 22 and a half. 23, 23 and a half, 24. That was steel. I was buying rebar right in this area. I was buying it for like $3 a stick per half-inch 20-footer. At the high point, I think it was over $10, $12 maybe a stick. Yeah. I also bought that in bulk. I bought a couple. So I'd use like 25 or 30 pieces in one garage. Do 10 to 15 garages a year. So I bought enough somewhere right in here. So I bought it as good as it could be to last me for a while. So next, concrete. So concrete, you could always, ever since I've done construction, way back, 35 years or whatever, concrete, you could count on it just going up every year, like with whatever the annual cost of living might have been, 1%, 2%, 3%. So we'll start it here at 2014. It just would go up, 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 up. Very consistent, just continually going up. But in 21 through 23 and a half to there, and currently it's down just a bit in 24. So concrete was pretty consistent. What's next? Let's talk about fuel, gasoline. So gasoline didn't really follow exactly the same pattern. It dipped in 14 and a half, up 15, 2016. Where's my next connected dot? 2017. Then it dropped in 18 and a half, 2019. Right around 2020 was the lowest point at any given point here on the chart. And then 21, it skyrocketed. A few jigs, jags, jots, and tittles. Up to 22, it peaked. And then it dropped some down in 23, crept back up, and currently it's down at that point. So you can see that one didn't quite follow the pattern of all of these. There's some variations through that. Food was a little bit more difficult to graph because it kind of exceeded my humble little graph chart. But in 2014, and then it dropped 15, 16, prices went up. In 17, went up again in 18. 19 or 18 and a half, it took a huge drop. And then 19 and a half. In 20, it took a dip right at the beginning of the year. And then 21, it went kind of off the chart. It would have been up here. I didn't leave enough room. And so we're still up there. It kind of jig-jagged down to that point. And then again, it was dropping to that point, and it wiggled quite a bit right there. Pretty volatile. So food costs were way up. Clothing kind of shocked me a lot, actually. My graph should have been like this high. Clothing more so than all of these others started really high. It was way up here. And progressively just continued down. Make sure I don't miss this. Where are we? Took a little spike, a little drop. Then over at it looks like right around the start of 2020, it just went boom, like a straight line down. I didn't realize that. And then it just proceeded to go out of sight. And if I could continue the line, it would probably be up here somewhere. And then it tapered down, still kind of off the graph, but that's where that one goes. So that's all my graphing for the day. So where does that leave us? What good does it know? What good is it to see any of this other than to tell us probably what we already knew, that prices are high. And it's with me, I'm drawing Social Security. It's a fixed amount. So anytime there's ups or downs, it really reflects on our spending availability. There was a trend kind of way down here, and then there was a trend way up here. And now it's kind of leveled off, it seems, but it's still quite a bit higher than over here. So that's that. What is next is what's coming up next. That makes sense, doesn't it? So I still have probably a couple of weeks left on the Vardo to finish that up. Oh, it feels good to sit down. My knees it's ready for that total knee replacement, especially the right one. The left one will be coming up next, I hope, next late winter, early spring. So this one's coming up in maybe 2 months, 6 weeks, somewhere in there. And I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be a different kind of pain, I'm sure. And I'll try to keep you updated on that as I progress through everything, so that maybe if you're looking at having that done, it'll be kind of something you can see how the whole process works. Those of you that have had total knee replacements already know, and you've been sending a lot of encouraging information about that. I appreciate it. So the Vardo, I have a few weeks left at the rate I'm going, because, well, today it's raining and I just didn't feel like going out there. That's the nice thing of kind of semi-retired. If you don't want to go out and do something, you don't. Or if you do, it's maybe not as enjoyable. I will get back out there because I want to get the inside finished. We're ready to really tackle that. After that, depending on when my knee surgery occurs, is going to reflect on what I do for projects going ahead. I have a lot of ideas, and they'll be, I think, really interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. So, hope you enjoyed this little economic update. I don't think there's anything more I have to say. Time for a nap. Hey, leave a comment, hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Tap the bell. See you later. Kaya and I are going to go. What do you want to do, puppy? She's been pacing around watching me.